I think that's why I'm so excited, is because I have been blessed to see what it looks like under the GOAT. And now you're going to.
She's changed our game in the best possible way. That's what Sophie Cunningham said about Caitlin Clark in her latest interview since joining the Fever. While critics and haters continue to downplay Clark's impact, Cunningham's honest perspective as a veteran carries significant weight.
I am joined by Indiana Fever's Sophie Cunningham. And I just said Indiana Fever, Sophie Cunningham. You have been with the Phoenix Mercury for 6 years, now heading over to Indiana for the 2025 season. What does that feel like? How has that transition been?
But there's another quote from
a New York Post interview that's even more revealing. I've been that feisty player my whole career. Cunningham isn't just coming to Indiana to shoot threes. She's coming to be the enforcer this young team desperately needs. For Clark, who's faced unprecedented physical defense, having a teammate willing to push back could be the difference between good and great. Are you ready to hear more about what Sophie just said?
DIDN comment, CC, and Sophie down below.
Let's go.
I'm so excited for. I think it's just such a great opportunity. I'm excited to play with the players that are there, play under the coaching staff that's there. And so I think this is just a new and exciting era for me and, everyone that I kind of partner with.
Did you know the Indiana Fever
wins a few years ago, landing them at the very bottom of the league? That's the hole they're climbing out of, and it's deeper than most people realize. Then they followed it up with a dismal 13-win, 27-loss record, despite already having the 2023 first overall pick, Aaliyah Boston, at that time. This wasn't just a couple of bad seasons for the Fever. It was a clear sign that something fundamental needed to change in Indianapolis.
Yeah, I think Indy, those my year 1 through 3.5. Well, let me just say this. I went through my 7 years in Indy. I've had 4 head coaches. So that within itself was kind of like, no one really knows what an experience of like the black stick at the bottom. Trust me, I've been there. Trust me. So I was, that's really how it started,
Think about what that means for a franchise at rock bottom. The Fever weren't just losing games. They were losing relevance in a league where attention is already hard to come by. Their performance was so concerning that it became clear to everyone watching that a complete roster overhaul wasn't just desirable. It was absolutely necessary for survival.
I left, it was still a rebuild stage. So different coaches got hired. And I think that at that point, we was trying to figure out whether I was keep swimming or if I would sink individually. And I'll be honest, I didn't know what would happen in my career. I didn't know how it would turn out because the points were the points, the accolades were accolades, but it wasn't enough.
That team winning. Team, not individual team.
And anybody that wanted to compete and be a winner,
it's about.
Here's the polished V. Then comes the 2024 draft. And suddenly everything changes. The Fever land the #1 pick, and with it, Caitlin Clark, arguably the most consequential rookie in WNBA history. Overnight, the team that nobody was watching became the team everyone was talking about. But here's where things get complicated. That spotlight brings heat. Critics and skeptics wasted no time questioning everything about this new-look Fever. Would Clark's game translate to the pro level? Could this young team actually compete with the powerhouses of the league? The questions weren't just coming from random social media accounts. They were legitimate concerns from basketball analysts who saw a talented rookie walking into a situation that still had major deficiencies.
I left, it was still a rebuild stage. So different coaches got hired. And I think that at that point, we was trying to figure out whether I was keep swimming or if I would sink individually. And I'll be honest, I didn't know what would happen in my career. I didn't know how it would turn out because the points were the points, the accolades were accolades, but it wasn't enough.
That team winning. Team, not individual team.
And anybody that wanted to compete and be a winner,
Here's the polished version. When the 2024 season tipped off, those early stumbles only amplified the criticism. The team looked disjointed at times, struggling to find chemistry. Clark was getting physically dominated in many matchups, with opposing teams seemingly taking turns trying to welcome her to the league with extra contact. The Fever's weaknesses were on full display. They lacked toughness, their shooting was inconsistent, and most glaringly, they had no enforcer, no veteran presence to stand up when things got physical. What became painfully obvious was that talent alone wasn't going to cut it. The Fever needed more than just skilled players. They needed battle-tested veterans who understood what it takes to win at the highest level. They needed players who wouldn't shrink under the intense scrutiny that comes with having a star like Clark on the roster.
in a position where you can add some pieces?
Yes, we are. We're definitely in a position. And I would think that if you are a smart basketball player and you watch the way she plays, you would want to play with her.
Here's the polished version. That's when the front office made their move. In what might go down as one of the most strategic rebuilds in recent WNBA memory, Fever Management responded by acquiring a wealth of veteran talent. Sophie Cunningham, Dana Bonner, Sydney Colson, and Natasha Howard. These weren't just any veterans. These were players who had been in championship situations, who understood pressure, and who could teach the young core what winning.
Start for you, but before we look ahead, I kind of want to look back on your experience in Phoenix. Like you said, you were drafted there. You spent the last 6 seasons with the GOAT, Diana Taurasi, who just announced her retirement. What have you learned from her?
Oh man, I think we could sit here for days if we really went into that. But you know, at the end of the day, I think that Dee is one of the best humans I've ever met. She has one of the best hearts. The way she not only thinks about
Here's
life.
The polished version. And of all these veteran additions, nobody made a louder entrance than Sophie Cunningham. While the Fever front office carefully calculated these moves behind closed doors, nobody predicted the bombshell Cunningham would drop during her media tour. Most veterans tiptoe around praising rookies, afraid of building them up too quickly. But Sophie took a completely different approach, one that left basketball analysts speechless.
You went from playing with a true legend of the game to now a rising legend of the game in Caitlin Clark in Indiana. What is it about her? What have you observed about Caitlin Clark now that you're going to be one of her teammates?
Here's the polished version. In her candid New York Post interview, Cunningham boldly proclaimed, "She was built for this moment." After years in Phoenix, where it hasn't always been easy, Sophie saw this trade as destiny, a turning point in her career. "I think it's built me for something bigger and better," she revealed, "and the stage we're about to be on with the players I'm about to be with." Her words rang out like a rallying cry for the entire franchise. Here's the polished version. What makes Cunningham's comments so refreshing is their authenticity. Rather than offering cookie-cutter responses about taking it one game at a time, she acknowledged the roller coaster nature of professional sports, saying, "That doesn't mean it's always going to be rainbows and butterflies." She showed remarkable self-awareness, adding, "Each season has its thing." This authentic voice signals exactly what she'll bring to the locker room. No sugarcoating, just real talk.
Clark's fame put the team under a microscope, which opened the floodgates for scrutiny and constant attention. The Fever had to increase security when they drafted the Hawkeyes legend. None of that is intimidating to Cunningham. Here we go. And she's already said she's tough. Now we know she's not intimidated. Who's ready to chase a championship with a new look Fever? Quote, "I think that's why they brought in a lot of veterans who have that experience," Cunningham said, "and I'm not saying that they have the experience of hundreds of millions of followers watching your every step, but I do feel like they brought an experience of how to gel in the locker room."
The move to Indiana came with a twist of irony. During the 2024 WNBA All-Star Game, Sophie had a playful interaction with Clark. "I told her, hey, if you ever want to come to Phoenix, let me know," Cunningham recalled with a laugh. "That one kind of backfired on me. The basketball gods had other plans," sending.
"I'm refocused. There's a different type of vibe and energy about me," she said. "I think I'm always kind of happy-go-lucky, go with the flow, and I'm still that. But I'm also, like, ready to dial in and get a championship because that's something I haven't done yet, so I'm going to do anything in my power to help the team do that. It's time for me to level up." Very interesting indeed.
Version. The most powerful part of Cunningham's media tour was her fierce defense of Clark. She addressed the unprecedented pressure on the rookie's shoulders, noting that a lot of people haven't walked in her footsteps, so it's easy to judge. Sophie's willingness to publicly stand up for Clark sends a clear message. Interview: here's the polished version. Cunningham understands exactly what this Fever team needs. She expressed genuine excitement about Indiana's ball-sharing system, tailor-made for both Clark's passing wizardry and Sophie's sharpshooting abilities. She sees the complete picture of what makes this roster special. Interview:
It's built for me something bigger and better in the stage that we're about to be on with the players that I'm about to be with. I think I am built for this. So she's telling you she's ready. Did you pick up on the, I think it's made me tougher? Because look, they're not only going to come after Caitlin Clark, they're going to come after Miss Cunningham too. That is a fact. Unfortunately for her, I have a feeling she's not going to back down from anybody.
Here's the polished version. What makes Cunningham's comments so refreshing is their authenticity. Rather than offering cookie-cutter responses about taking it one game at a time, she acknowledged the roller coaster nature of professional sports, saying, "That doesn't mean it's always going to be rainbows and butterflies." She showed remarkable self-awareness, adding, "Each season has its thing." This authentic voice signals exactly what she'll bring to the locker room. No sugarcoating, just real talk.
She's making it clear she's ready, joining this squad. And look, remember when Cheryl Swoops and some of the other media was like, I don't know if any players are going to want to join Caitlin Clark. Boy, that turned out to be some fraudulent activity, did it not, by the media?
The move to Indiana came with a twist of irony. During the 2024 WNBA All-Star Game, Sophie had a playful interaction with Clark. "I told her, hey, if you ever want to come to Phoenix, let me know," Cunningham recalled with a laugh. "That one kind of backfired on me. The basketball gods had other plans," sending in.
She has that same mindset that Dee has, and I've learned a lot on how to become a pro and how to get to where I want to be with Dee every single day, and how she just does things. You know, I was a sponge around her. I saw her habits, her do's and her don'ts. And I think when you have someone like Caitlin, she doesn't really need a lot of help, right? Like, she already knows how to play the game. She knows where she wants to be. She has an itch and
the most powerful part of Cunningham's media tour was her fierce defense of Clark. She addressed the unprecedented pressure on the rookie's shoulders, noting that a lot of people haven't walked in her footsteps, so it's easy to judge. Sophie's willingness to publicly stand up for Clark sends a clear message. Interview: here's the polished version.
I do love the offense we're going to be playing. It's a motion offense. I feel like I haven't played in a motion offense since college, and so it's going to be run and gun, kick and shoot, lots of threes.
Cunningham understands exactly what this Fever team needs. She expressed genuine excitement about Indiana's ball-sharing system, tailor-made for both Clark's passing wizardry and Sophie's sharpshooting abilities. She sees the complete picture of what makes this roster special.
They haven't won a championship since 2012. Is this year the year? Does this team have the pieces?
Man, you know what? We definitely have the pieces. I think our front office and our coaching staff, they did a heck of a job of bringing young players who are wanting to win with experienced players who have won. And now you just got to make it all gel. And so I do definitely think we have the pieces. I think we've turned a lot of heads in this offseason of what our team is looking like. But no, we are all still very new to each other. We have to build that chemistry.
The basketball connection between Sophie Cunningham and Caitlin Clark isn't just another veteran rookie pairing. It's a relationship forged in the shadow of Diana Taurasi. After spending 6 seasons alongside one of the most scrutinized players in WNBA history, Sophie gained a unique perspective that most veterans simply don't have. This hard-earned wisdom about navigating the blinding spotlight is exactly what Clark needs as she faces unprecedented attention following her every move. Interview:
Job to be pros and put it all together and get a championship back in Indiana.
I think that's kind of an underrated aspect of building a team, is you could put all these pieces together, but it has to be a puzzle. Those pieces have to fit. You have to gel. You have to build that chemistry. Now, heading into your 7th season in the league, what have you noticed is maybe one of the biggest challenges of making those pieces gel? And how do you think having that experience will help you make those pieces work in Indiana?
What makes this partnership special is the on-court chemistry developing between them. Cunningham's impressive 40% success rate from beyond the arc in 2022 perfectly complements Clark's passing abilities. Picture this scenario. Clark drives toward the basket, drawing defensive help. She spots Cunningham stationed in the corner, and with a quick flick of the wrist, the ball zips to Sophie, who's left open as defenders scramble to contain Clark. Bucket. This exact sequence has already played out multiple times in preseason action.
Only us, but in the NBA, in the MLS, like no matter what sport you're looking at, you have stars and you have role players, and everyone does their job really, really well. It's all about managing egos. It's about managing personalities and making sure everyone feels confident and like they're enough and that their role is important. And when you can do that, those are the championship teams. And so I think a lot.
The spacing Cunningham provides transforms the Fever offense. Her threat from three-point range forces defenders to stay close, creating passing lanes for Clark to find other teammates. A defender who stays connected to Cunningham can't help against Clark's drives, and one who helps leaves a 40% three-point shooter unguarded. A clear advantage for Indiana. Cunningham's enthusiasm for Indiana's system is particularly meaningful. She's excited about joining a motion-based offense that emphasizes ball movement and sharing. "I'm ready to dial in and get a championship," she declared, bringing championship aspirations within reach. Interview. Here's the polished version.
So I think a lot of people think you just need all the best scorers, all the best athletes, but that's honestly not what it is at all. You need a team that really cares for each other, that loves each other off the court, and that chemistry naturally comes. And so when I say that our conversations so far have been absolutely amazing, I think this is going to be a really solid, historic team. And, you know, this is just the beginning for all of us.
Between possessions, during timeouts, and after tough losses. Sophie's years with Taurasi taught her how to manage expectations, tune out the noise, and perform under pressure. For Clark, facing unprecedented scrutiny, having a veteran who understands this unique pressure could determine whether she buckles or thrives. Sophie's statement about winning a championship wasn't just typical new player enthusiasm. It was a calculated assessment based on what Indiana's front office has. The environment where Clark's generational passing ability will flourish. The timeline for contention has been dramatically accelerated, leaving the rest of the league to adapt to this new reality. The arrival of Sophie Cunningham is a statement. The warmth of her reception from fans speaks volumes, with social media lighting up with messages like, "Already got your Fever jersey, let's go." This fan excitement signals what Indiana basketball has been waiting for. Someone who brings both skill and swagger to complement Clark's brilliance. The days of dismissing the Fever are over. When passionate fans rally around a team this talented, something special is brewing in Indiana. The revolution is already here, transforming struggle into potential championship glory. If you're as fired up as we are for the season ahead, drop a CC and Sophie in the comments and let's rise together. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we will see you in the next one.